Hey everyone, I just wanted to do a little video about getting notes graded. So what I did is I went over to pmgnotes.com, that's PMG's website, and I'm going to show you some of the stuff that they've got here. PMG is one of the two main graders when it comes to currency. Legacy, formerly PCGS, is the other one. PMG is the one that I've gotten notes graded through before, but I didn't do it myself. I always submitted my stuff through a dealer. But I figured I'd bring this up here and show you guys a little bit about what's going on. Now, if I bring down some of these drop-down menus, the grading process, grading scale, these are real informative as far as telling you exactly what different types of things, how they do it, what their scale is, the different types of labels and stuff. Now, you can even have customized labels put on there. They'll do basically anything for a fee. But that's the really neat thing, the fee. Services and fees. What does it actually cost to get a note graded? That's what I wanted to show you guys. So I'm just going to click on that right there. Services and fees, and it's going to bring it up. Okay. Now, I always stress how expensive it is to get a note graded. I think I said it cost me somewhere in the neighborhood of $80 to have my note graded. Well, that's a lot of money to have one note graded. Well, how does that fee come about? Well, it depends on how you look at it. When you start looking at individual fees, you can look at the very basic economy fee, and that's only $30 a note. So how do you get from $30 to $80? Well, that's what I'm going to go through with you guys. We're going to start here at the top, which is a $10 handling fee applies to all submissions. Okay, so if you submit one note or if you submit 100 notes, there is a $10 handling fee right off the top. So if you send one note, it adds up really quick. The next thing that they're going to be talking about is shipping. Now, generally, you're going to want to send stuff insured mail, which is going to run you, I think, $27 each way. So now you're at you're at $54 plus the 10. You're at $64, and you still haven't even selected how you want your notes graded. So you can see how things start to add up really quick when it comes to grading notes. So you don't ever want to send one note to get graded. You want to send a group of notes because then those first prices get spread out over the course of all of the notes combined. So what are the things that you can expect? They've got what's called unlimited walkthrough. Think of that as literally walking through. You walk in, walk out. There's the turnaround time, 24 hours. This first category is for notes that are valued at $25,000 and up. Now, I'm sure all of us would like to send in our notes that are valued over $25,000. And if you choose to do that, they're going to charge $250 plus 1% of the fair market value of the note. So that's the top end of the scale. If you want things 24 hours, that would be the standard walkthrough. That's only $225. Express, you get it back in 5 days. Standard is 14 days. Now this is where you're starting to get into realistic territory. For a standard note, all U.S. or world notes valued up to $3,000. It costs $50 per note, and you get to turn around in 14 days. So that's not ridiculous, unless you're only sending one note. If you send one note, you're going to pay $50, plus the $10 service fee, that's $60, plus the shipping, so now you're up to $110 if you personally sent one note. So what you want to do is you want to send multiple notes. Let's say I sent 5 of these notes right here. 5 of these notes would bring my cost to $250 for the grading, plus 10 is $260 for their service fee, and then you add in the shipping, another $50. So now you're at $310. $310 for 5 notes. You divide that up, that's only $60 a piece. If you were to do the same thing with 10 notes, that price per note goes down. Now that's for notes that are valued up to $3,000. What if your notes aren't that expensive? Notes valued up to $1,000. Now here, this is called economy. An economy, the turnaround time is 52 days. Getting notes graded, generally speaking, if you're going to be using these categories, can take a little bit of time. So I'm not trying to hurry up and grade a note and get it graded back so I can turn around and sell it. Whenever they get it and grade it, and whenever I get it back, that's fine with me. So this is probably the best way to do it. One note, once again, if you had one note in the economy, this is notes valued up to $1,000. You're talking the $10 fee. You're talking $30 for the note, so that's $40, and then you're talking the shipping, so that's going to put you at about $90 if you wanted one note. However, if you had 10 notes to send in, now you're talking $300 for the total fee, plus the 10, that's $310, plus shipping, that's $360. But for 10 notes, the $360 total, that's only $36 per note. So you can see how when you send in groups of notes, you pay a lot less. Then they've got Economy Special, which handles error notes, tests, specimens. This is where you'll find some interesting notes. They bump it up just a touch there to $40. And they've got so many other different categories for grading. Bulk, so if you've got a full strap of consecutive notes, you can get the entire thing done. Anyway, they've got all kinds of different categories as far as how you can get stuff done. I mean, some of these are $16. What was the cheap one? Is that the cheapest one? $13. Consecutive bulk, $13 per. So if you had 100 notes, $13 per, that's $1,300. Plus the $10 shipping, plus the $10 service fee, plus the $10 or $50 shipping. That literally brings the cost to less than $14 a note at that particular point. But you're talking specific notes in that particular category. Anyway, those are the fees for grading notes. You can see how getting notes graded in bulk, and I don't mean necessarily 50 or 100 at a time, but even 10 at a time makes a huge difference on how the price goes. Then there are there are add-on fees. If you want early release or first release printed right on the label, if you want a special label for the Stu Pluback collection, I can have that put on there, and it'll only cost me $5 per note, of course. Oversized holders, custom holders. So yeah, if you want anything, a fancy type of holder that's got a flag on it or something, you can do that. If you want a variety attribute, they charge that. A pedigree saying where it came from. And then they do regrading and stuff as well. So, I mean, they've got so many different things that you can do on this site. Reholdering notes, regrading notes, obviously. And then other services. Appearance review, you can review a note that you believe is overgraded. Just so many different little things that are included in their services. So, if you wanted to get one note done, I'd recommend taking that to a dealer and having him send it in, and you're probably going to pay. You're probably going to pay quite a bit, anywhere from $50 to $80 to have one note sent in. But if you save up your notes and send them all at once, well, you can see how the prices will change. Now, one of the other things that I noticed was this was under service and fees. If you are planning to get a bunch of notes graded, let me show you something. I think if I hit join here, this will take me to where I wanted to go. Yes. You can become a member of PMG. Now, members get many benefits, of course. The membership is free. Join now, you get full access to their online resources. They're just doing that so that they know who's there and they know who they can contact for different things. So that would be $0. Now, you can get an associate membership for $25, which gets you full access to the online site, and it gets you direct submission privileges. You no longer have to go to a dealer, and you get 10% off of their store, which is neat. Not that I'd need anything there out of their store particularly, but what I find interesting is the next category. The next category for premium says $149, and you have to think to yourself, who would spend that much money on a membership? Well, you get full access to online resources, just like before. You get to submit notes. You get 10% off their store. But look at the bottom. If you pay them $149, they will give you a $150 credit for your notes that you send in for grading. Now, it doesn't count shipping and handling, but if you ran up $150 in regular fees, you'd still have to pay the shipping and handling, of course. That would come out of your credit. Well, if you planned on sending them notes anyway, that means that if you pay the $149, they're going to give you back that $150 off of your first order. So that is something to consider if you're going to be sending in a bunch of notes. Then they've got the Elite, which is $300 essentially, which is everything that we said so far. But then it has this little thing on the bottom, which is 10% off PMG grading. Well, how would you need to recoup that? Well, you'd have to recoup that if you planned on selling, or if you planned on sending them $1,500 worth of stuff. If you were going to spend, or not worth of stuff, but if you were going to spend over $1,500 getting stuff graded, 10% off would give you that $150 back. So if you have a lot of stuff to send in, if you plan on sending, a lot of notes over the course of a year, that is definitely going to pay for itself this way. Now, me, I've only sent one note in ever. I usually like buying my particular notes. But for me, this is extremely tempting. I'm going to look through my notes and see if there's anything that I wanted to send in. And if I do, I will, of course, show you guys the process. But I just thought this was interesting that PMG, in order to send into them, you have to become a member. But this one here, this $149 membership, that's just essentially paying up front for what you're going to send them to be graded. So that is an interesting little thing that I found on there as far as getting stuff graded. In this day and age, especially with the lack of shows and stuff like that, it's important to consider buying notes that are graded, because that way you're not guessing as to the value, because most of the time you're buying off of auctions or off of pictures, and you can't hold the note in your hand. You can't see it, so you have to assume that the lighting was appropriate and everything else. But if you buy a note that's graded, well, that means these guys have already looked over that note and given their estimate as to what the condition is. So it's much safer buying notes that are already graded. If you have a note that is really nice and you send it in to get graded, that is only going to improve the saleability of that note in the future. Not to mention the fact that when you get a note graded, they also seal it in that holder to make sure that it doesn't accidentally get damaged in the future. So you're preserving that note as well as being able to know a grade and make that note so much easier to sell. So that's what I wanted to touch on this week, a little bit from PMG. If you learned anything new this week, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. Guys, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you again next week.